Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the We Know Love Island podcast here on RHAP. Today, we'll be talking about the first half of week 2 of Love Island USA season 7. I'm, of course, Kirsten MacInnis, joined as always by the brilliant Brian Scally. Scally, how are you?
Oh, hello. I'm so good. I'm excited to be back in here week 2 already. We have our first dumping. We got lots of drama. We are on the road to possible breakups already. I guess some did happen. I'm very, very excited to be talking about Love Island.
Yes, we are living our summer vacation dreams while still somehow having full-time adult responsibilities, which should be illegal. But we're in the regular schedule of Love Island now. So there will be episodes Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We podcast Tuesday night, and then Thursday, Friday, we podcast Friday night. Amazing.
Yes. So it was a very fun week on Love Island. Like I said, we did unfortunately lose the great Belle-A. Bella does go home, unfortunately, for us. Kirsten, what do you think about Bella's final few days in the villa here?
I think she wasn't going to go home until Nick said, "What's your hobby?" And she said beach. And then they mentioned like getting like degrees in Love Island. And he said, "What degree would you get?" And she said, "The highest." And I think that in that moment, Nick realized, okay, she's hot. She's my type. She's like on paper who I would want, but I gotta couple up with someone I can talk to.
Yeah, it's really interesting when Bella says that she doesn't party, she's just an inside girly, but her hobbies are hiking and beach. That was interesting. I was like, okay, I don't really know how that lines up, but sure. But with the water looking like Gatorade, how can you resist, I guess?
I I mean, I don't live on the same part of the Pacific Ocean as Hawaii is, but I was there yesterday and it did not look like
Huh,
Gatorade.
that is tough. I did find it interesting when Nick was comparing his relationships between Bella and Sierra. It was like, "Oh, I have this sexual attraction with Sierra, but this physical attraction with Bella." And I was like, this is a very interesting distinction.
I
It's not
No,
entirely
that's
the
the
same.
same thing. That's
It's
physical and that's the same thing. What do you mean that's
it's not
different?
entirely. I mean, I think it was just him and Bella did not vibe on that level, is what he's trying to say. But I also do think about it from the point of view of like, if you end up with Sierra and you're gonna be like just so much more attracted to Bella than Sierra, it's like, okay, maybe be careful about what you're saying about her in the villa then.
Yeah, listen, Nick and all these men are messy, which has some good results and some bad results. And I guess it's just good that Nick was able to, get his new couple in, and he almost got out clean because she almost didn't Sierra almost did not find out about his makeout with Belle Dasha in Soul Ties, which is crazy. And
Look,
Alandrea exposed.
it was so funny when Bella said she had crazy dreams that they were having a villa graduation. It's like, yes, Bella, you did graduate the villa by going home at the ceremony, unfortunately. Like, that kind of was a premonition. So maybe she's a little witchy. Who knew?
Hey,
Unfortunately.
don't say that. She's churchy.
Oh, that is true. Never mind. I take it back. But I was a little pissed at Nick for referencing the photo booth in his
Yes.
speech. I feel like Bella completely did not know until that moment, and I think that he gave it away a little bit too early. I don't like when they do this. Don't tell me exactly who it is.
Okay, well, a lot of people have been praising Nick for this, saying it's so respectful that it gave Bella a moment to like compose herself. But you, of course,
Oh
want
yeah,
to see this 22-year-old woman destroyed.
I watch Love Island for respectful behavior. Sure. No, I think that the respectful move is to make it very clear beforehand instead of telling her that she's 50-50 all the way up until the point that you're sending her home.
Yeah, I think actually no part of giving the percentage by percentage updates of your affections is respectful.
Yeah, I do think even if you're winning the 80-20, it comes off a little rude.
Yeah, one we didn't. Was he being that upfront with Sierra or nah?
I don't remember a specific scene in which he was, but Bella was definitely getting the play-by-play in
Yes.
terms of the scoring between the two. So not super ideal. I did appreciate once Bella did find out she's going home that Nick pulls her for a conversation, which feels like a move if they had been dating for like 4 weeks in the villa. Usually they'll pull them and be like, sad to see you go. You know, we once had this is a Rob and Leah conversation. This is not a Nick and Bella conversation. Like, so it felt a little over the top to me, but I think Bella had some good lines in here at least.
I mean, if you could understand what Bella was saying,
I
maybe.
I feel like Bella became a little more coherent here than at other points. Like when he says, I didn't want to make it like I didn't want it to be like this, and she just blatantly says, you made it like this. Like this is your fault. I don't
Yeah.
know why you couldn't have handled this differently, is like the subtext of what she's saying. And so I thought handled well by Bella on the way out.
Yes, I think she did handle it very well. There is also a lot of people clamoring online because I could be wrong, and if I'm spreading misinformation, please just correct me in the YouTube comments on the RHAP YouTube. Uh, I don't think Bella is home, and so people are theorizing that she may come back in Casa Amor.
I feel like that's a stretch. I have
Well, I
I
mean,
feel like this
that part
happened
is a stretch for sure, but like, I don't think she's been seen at home.
because it's not even like they isolate these people so much that like they can't see the media. Often people come in and watch what's like happened on the show. So would they hold her this long? I think it happened like one time on Love Island UK that they brought someone back, and now everyone holds like their breath every single time someone that they moderately like on Love Island goes home. And so I don't think I'm dying for Bella. I didn't know that there was this secret standum of her online. She like was a fun character who I like thought might have been a little more interesting had she stayed longer, but sad for Bella, we do lose her here.
I actually think that a lot of this season's kind of blandness is her fault
Ooh.
because I feel like historically on Love Island, even the people that aren't like so into each other are still like making out. And I feel like no one's kissing. And I think it's because she, like, at the start made like a stand about how like kissing is so special. And now no one's just
Mm.
kissing.
I'm not blaming that solely on her. I just think that a lot of these relationships are not clicking in that way. And so there's not too much making out outside of challenges at this point. And I don't think that is solely Bella's responsibility. I think that a lot of these couples just are not romantically into each other.
No, I don't think it's solely her, but I think she did open the door for people to be like, "Oh, I that's how I feel also." And you know what could help a relationship develop? Kissing. Maybe it doesn't seem like that much of a thing, but if you just kiss your way through it, maybe it'll be fine. I don't
Endorphins are a
know.
hell of a drug. So like
Get some oxytocin, like
you never
I don't know.
know.
I'm not saying it definitely would do it, but it probably would strengthen the relationships a little bit.
Yeah, could help, could help. Do you have any final words for Bella as she does go home?
Good night, sweet princess. I'm sure you'll pop up on my For You page soon.
I do think that is very likely. Now, as far as Nick and Sierra's continued story, how do you feel like they're doing this week?
It's such a weird whiplash because I feel like his refusal to mention the soul ties kiss bit him in the butt and ultimately kind of hurt their bond. And so she's so happy that they've coupled up. And then, literally, in the girls' room, Alandrea exposes that that Nick and Bella were kissing each other down. And first of all, the look on her face when she realizes what she said and who she said it to is chef's kiss perfect. But that just causes the kind of awkward conversation between Nick and Sierra where he definitely wasn't going to tell her, but he's like, "Well, I wanted to tell you." And she's like, "But why didn't you?" And
Yeah.
much like when Bella calls him out by saying, "Oh, well, you made it this way," he does not really respond to direct uh combos like that.
It's like even before the recoupling, I feel like Sierra gave him a bunch of outs of saying, like I obviously felt a little bit of a type of way when you bring me and Bella breakfast, but it's fine. Like I want you to explore everything. I don't want to rush you. I don't want you to have any questions about it. Should we both stay in the villa and you feel like you never explored it? Like I want you to figure all this out now. And so she gave him the green light to be figuring things out. I think probably making out with her 3 seconds later was still a mistake. But like, even if you told her, I don't think she was going to be super happy about it. But I think the lack of transparency once you did make the decision was a problem.
Yeah, because finding out from someone else is always worse.
At the same time, if Nick
Ooh.
goes to Sierra right after the the ceremony and says, "I'm so glad we're coupled up. Just so you know, I did make out with Bella 3 seconds before you." I think we probably also would have been like, Nick, this conversation could have waited till tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think that it seems like there was like a stretch of time between the two makeouts and the recoupling, and I think that
Yeah.
would have been the perfect time to like pull them aside and be like, "Hey, just so you know, I've been exploring and I've explored with both of you, but I feel like Sierra, I like you better. And just for full transparency, I did make out with Bella, but what we have is different." And then they don't even have to show us that conversation on the show because it would, spoil their cliffhanger at the
Mhm.
bonfire. But then at least like she's not mad about it. And when Alandrea is like, "Oh, they were kissing each other down," then Sarah can be like, "Oh, I know, and he told me, and I like it's fine because he was
Yeah.
exploring."
I will double down on what you said. Landria's face when she realized that it almost just looked as if she didn't know Sierra was in the room when she was saying it. Like, guys, guess what I got? Oh, you're here. Okay, hi. But I don't think that was the
Yep.
case. It just, as she said, like, I thought you knew. And so it was really good television either way. How do you think that Sierra and Nick are moving forward, though? Like, is this a problem?
Um, I I don't know if this specifically is a problem, but I think the pretty large lack of content after their conversation about it leads me to believe that they're probably both spending their time with other people and we're just not
Hmm.
getting to see it.
To me, it tells me they're fine and we don't need to watch it. Like, okay, we told you
Yeah,
that they've made up and that's it.
I just think like one scene of them being like canoodly would make me feel more on that side, but it
Yeah.
could be again,
Yeah,
it's stuff we're not seeing.
you are right. We haven't gotten the traditional like bedtime who's making out and who's not. I'm not really seeing Sierra and Nick be overly affectionate, but I'm not super worried here. I think that things have cooled down. I think Sierra says like she looks into his green eyes and she's just fine. So I think that once we see another bombshell, that's when I think we'll get the real answer. But if I'm betting, I don't have any less faith in them than I do pretty much any other couple at this point.
Yeah, I'm not seeing maybe like full season longevity, but I could see like them making it to Casa and perhaps Nick making a fool of himself for movie night.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that. I really could see that.
But I
Now,
mean, we'll see. Speaking of couples that we're really not seeing it for, maybe we should go to Alandrea and Taylor, or do you disagree with me?
no, I unfortunately firmly agree with you. I think that every time we check in, as Andrea says, it's very much friend vibes.
Mhm.
They don't have that romance. And so I am currently like watching everything. Like, guys, just stop trying. Like, and
I
go ahead.
Well, like when they were gossiping about like the Nick Bella situation, I swear to God, Alandrea was about to call Taylor like queen. Like, just like, I think it was just gonna
Oh,
slip out of her
no.
mouth. Like, I don't think, and not that that has like, and for me the only implication there is that they're friends. Like, that's just her friend. I really think they get along well, but there's just nothing there. And even like Taylor's talking to, was it Nick? Who did Taylor talk to about how he's like just not feeling it, like a physical attraction?
Yeah, I do. I think it was Ace. He's definitely closest to Ace. He's
Oh,
saying,
yeah, it was
right?
Ace. Yep.
He's saying like, things are good and we're going to continue to get to know each other, but at the same time, like, it's just not there. And when it's not there, it's not there. There's not much that you can do, which I will give it to Ace. I think this is probably Ace's best moment of the week when he's telling
Yes.
Taylor, like, she's cooking for you, dumbass. Like, well, she's gonna go find someone else and you're gonna be mad at it. Like, double down. I just don't feel like Taylor took that on board.
No, he didn't. And Alandrea is out here making breakfast, even though, listen, in the world, I don't believe there are actual divisions of labor based on gender. But in the Love Island villa, making breakfast is what we call blue work in my house, which is how we define any of Josh's tasks.
God. Yes, I agree. There's so many things in the Love Island experience where they discuss gender roles, and I'm like, ugh. But then a woman makes villa, and I'm like, no, that's the boy's job. A woman makes breakfast. No, they should be waiting on you every single morning. So that
Period.
is the only time I subscribe to gender roles on Love Island.
Yes, 100%. And I wanted to be very clear when I said that as well, because you and I are on the same page. It's just not what's done. Like in the Tuesday night episode, Shelly was cooking for Austin, Alandrea's cooking for Taylor. Why is Austin in bed? He
I
should
think
be
in the
making
real world,
breakfast.
this is so nice and this is cute. And this is probably where we're like, we should move on to Love Island eventually. But like, no, the men have less to do to get ready on Love Island. Like, I'm sorry.
I think you're right. It probably is it's a huge step forward for gender dynamics on Love Island. But I think that part of what makes the like men making breakfast so endearing to me is that it is kind of flipping traditional gender norms on its head. And so it's like I don't I don't want to think about how, oh, is it actually progressive to put women back in the kitchen? Like that
No.
doesn't feel right. Like I don't like
Yeah. God.
that.
I don't know. I just think it's like a cute moment where we get like the morning boys chat out of the way when they make breakfast. The girls are getting
Mhm.
ready. That's when we get like the girls chat. That's when they check in. I think it just works for the format of the show, and I don't need to
Yeah.
mess things up.
When you know, right? Like
Yeah.
when it's there, and when it's not. We're just
Yeah.
like Taylor for real. And like Alondria goes to him and is literally like, you can like touch my thigh, like you can touch me, and you could just tell he's like, I don't want a green light. I
I,
red light.
I think Alandria does make it very clear. She said, like, yeah, in the outside world, I'm a slow burner. And I kind of said that, but now I'm kind of not feeling anything from you. Like, in so many words, like, you can put your hand on my thigh. You can, just make any physical contact whatsoever. So if you're looking for a green light, like, here it is. And she obviously doesn't say it in that many words. Now, it does lead to when they have a conversation, they have a kiss. Kind of. It's like a very small peck.
I What's more important to talk about to me than the small peck is when they go into the photo booth and they're like taking goofy photos and Taylor sticks his tongue out and Alondria just sucks that thing back. And I was like, no, I know too much about the tongues of the people in this villa, considering none of them are even kissing.
It's a lot. It's just like they touch tongues and then they like touched lips, but I like barely qualify these as kisses, at
No,
least from what
though
I'm seeing.
it's not a kiss. It's like there was more passion in Nick and Austin's weird cheek kiss in the challenge, which we'll get to because I have a rant.
Oh, please. Yeah, and even the fact that when Taylor's like telling the boys, he's like, by the way, me and Alandria kissed, and they say, like, you kissed or you made out? Did you just kiss? And he's like, yes. Like he doesn't answer. He just
Yep.
says yes.
He's like, it was a kiss. Ask Bella. It counts.
I don't know. For me, if this could work out, that would be great. I've been wrong about it before. There have been slow burn couples that do turn into something on Love Island. But in general,
Literally last season's winner.
that is true. It's very, very true. But I think that until that something happens, I am somewhat of a skeptic on Love Island. I'm more likely to buy into the love bombing than I am the slow burn.
I What's wrong with us that that's how we feel though? Because like that's bad and wrong.
Yep.
But I think that also like you and I probably just have so much like we have the appropriate level of self-esteem where we're just like
Mhm.
not willing to accept anything less than so much love. And so I feel like I would be so susceptible to love bombing because I would be like, that's right. That someone cares about me the appropriate amount.
I don't know if that's what it is for me, but for whatever reason, I am very much
You just love
on
love.
that track. Ugh, please. So, for me right now, I like them both fine. I really like Alandrea. She's one of my favorites on the show currently. I'm enjoying all
Yes.
of the different conversations that she's having with Ace, with Austin, with many other people. So,
Mhm.
I just kind of hope that one of the bombshells is for her right now.
Agreed. Because we need that. But also it should be women's choice this time, so she should at least be safe for a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, if she could have like crazy chemistry with one of the bombshells, that would be my top choice because I love her so much.
I really, really like her. I think it is going to have to be that like crazy chemistry to turn her head fully. I think even though Taylor's not giving her everything she wants, I don't think she's going to jump unless she is very sure.
I could see her sticking with Taylor for this recoupling and then I could see her ending up in like a friendship couple with Austin
We'll see. Yeah. And
if
I
Austin
think
sticks
that
around.
so many of the couplings are on shaky ground that I
Mhm.
really don't know where things are going with any of them.
And isn't that fun and exciting? Like a lot of people are not loving this season. And listen, is it as enjoyable as season 6 was? No, I don't think it's quite to that level, but it's still good and it's still delivering drama and I'm excited to like have no true committed couples except for Huda and Jeremiah, which is on shaky ground.
I think if you're coming into Love Island and saying that every episode should be peak Love Island USA season 6, I think you're going to have a bad time. I think that we are growing. And for me, this season has no warning signs that we can't hit high highs. I think that all of the pieces
Yes.
are there where I'm very much enjoying a lot of the people on the cast. I'm enjoying the dynamics. And I actually think that it's pretty messy for this early into a Love Island season.
I think that we didn't get the mess of like the first 2 episodes that is a little bit more typical, and I think that's because they brought in like a man and woman together instead of like one
Yep.
super sexy bombshell. I think that that kind of slowed the release of the drama at the start of the season. But now that we're getting bombshells in here, I am finding it plenty dramatic.
Yeah, I feel like with the first set of bombshells, it was like, okay, well, someone got removed, so Charlie can just go home and this will be fine. No one felt all that concerned over their place
Yeah.
in the villa. So I'm thinking things might heat up a little bit as we go. I guess speaking of Charlie, what do you think about Charlie and Hannah?
I was literally going to say, is there anything to say about Charlie and Hannah? I feel like they're 2 people currently in the Love Island
They
USA
are. That
villa.
is true.
They are coupled up.
Okay.
Uh, we've seen a couple of clips of them like hanging out, but I feel like I know nothing about either of them as people.
I mean, we learned that I believe Hannah went to culinary school, right? And Charlie gets very defensive over his breakfast that he made, saying he didn't have everything available to him. So it would have been much better. They're very happy that they're finally not sleeping in their own beds, like separately, since both of them came
Mhm.
in as bombshells. They had to sleep alone. They connected really fast, Hannah and Charlie. And I'm almost wondering if they're like the second strongest couple in this village, maybe
I
the first.
I think they might be the first strongest couple,
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
just very strange because we don't see that much of them, right? Like,
Yep.
I feel like they are maybe not the strongest confessional givers, maybe not providing anything that contributes to the drama. Like, every other couple kind of has inflection points where they meet up with other couples and it kind of adds to the narrative of the show. And it just feels like Hannah and Charlie aren't involved in like the broader story of Love Island season 7. And so we're just not seeing them. And so I'm like, okay, well, they seem to like each other a lot. There's no problems. Neither of them are interested in anybody else. So I will check back later if a bombshell gets involved.
I am very curious to see. I have been, like, in terms of TV character, enjoying Charlie just fine. I think, his conversations with Austin have been decent. I don't think that I'm very invested in them as a couple just yet. My concern is I do think I saw a poll in which, like, for favorite couple, and they ranked very highly already. So that does concern me a little bit because I don't think that they're bringing a whole lot to the show, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think as well, once the others actually are getting into couples that feel real, I think they will outrank Hannah and Charlie, hopefully. Although you never know what the demographic voting for Love Island USA is going to do 100%. I think it's more so a lack of options versus like just supporting them and loving them so much.
Yeah, I would not say that Hannah and Charlie are like locking in as my winners by any means, but I am curious to see where they go in the near future. Who do you think we should talk about next?
I think we should get into the Shelly, Ace, Amaya,
I agree.
Austin love square.
There's so much here. I feel like this is going to be a
Yes.
lot of conversation, lots of jumping around.
Mhm.
This is like the first conversation we really get in this batch of episodes with any of these four is Shelly and Ace. And I feel like I came into this batch thinking I'm rooting for Shelly and Ace. I'm liking them. But as they have more conversations, even though it is very flirty, I'm still questioning that a little bit. Like, it's about how Shelly has a Made in Miami tattoo, and he's, talking about how she's adventurous, but that leads her to question
No,
if he even knows anything about her.
he's like, "Oh, what does that say?" And she's like, "Oh, my tattoo says made in Miami." And he goes, "You're so adventurous." Like, that is not adventurous. I that it's just like patently not. And so it's so weird. And this is
Yeah.
where he's like, she's like, "Well, what do you know about me?" And he's like, "Oh, well, you're from Miami and you go back and forth to New York and we go together. Let's start
Well,
over." And then he goes, "What's your ethnicity? Your skin tone is beautiful." Like, that's his first question for her. What happened to
in this
what's your favorite
conversation, for sure.
color? What
Yeah.
happened to what's your favorite ice cream?
When asking what he knows about her, he's like, "Well, you're from Miami and you split time between New York and you travel back and forth. And sometimes you take a plane from Miami to New York, and sometimes you take a plane from New York to Miami, but also sometimes you travel between New York and Miami or Florida and the state of New York." It's like, okay, we get it. Like, you've said the same thing 7 different ways. He really did not have a lot else to say. And I don't know if that was like cute flirting or if that was genuine. Oh yeah, we really have not had any conversations.
He doesn't know anything about her. They may have talked, but he doesn't know anything. And I think that this is kind of emblematic of Ace's issue. Cause, like, listen, Ace is messy. Ace is a hater. Ace wants drama. But what Ace wants more than anything else is to be chased. And he's choosing women that are not going to engage
Mm.
in that role, or like it's not their natural inclination. And then he's just kind of prodding at them to get the response that he wants. And then when he gets the response that he wants, he's not always nice about it, even though he fabricated the whole situation. And so I'm getting some bad vibes from
Look,
Ace at this point. I like the drama for the show, but he needs to, like, I don't know.
there's a
Like,
lot here.
we'll get to the part that really pissed me off, but he just like,
Look, there's so much here. We cannot jump to the end of the story before we tell the beginning because
yeah.
I will say in this conversation, one of my other favorite things is when he asks what her passions are. And she goes, my passions are doing things that make me happy. Like, yeah, that's kind of the definition of passions, but thank you, Shelly. So
It's
that
listen, sometimes the way people talk in these villas really does make me think, is there a gas leak?
I enjoyed it. It was funny. Like it was endearing. I didn't I'm not making fun of her. I just thought it was
No, at
endearing
least
and
she
she followed
immediately
it up.
clarified. Yeah.
Yeah,
She said, "Oh,
singing and
dancing."
dancing and writing. So I do think their chemistry, especially at this point, still is cute. You can feel it. It's just they're not exploring it in any meaningful type of way. And that's what feels so weird about Love Island because usually it is very quick and
Yes.
it's not really progressing like that here. Apparently, before bedtime, we find out, which I don't think was made explicitly clear on the episode, that Ace hugs Shelly goodnight and is like kind of all about her. And then when he goes to bed, Amaya's like, are you going to say goodnight to me? And he goes, no.
Well, I think that was the night of the recoupling too, because
Yeah.
basically, so Ace chooses Amaya in the recoupling, which was not what I expected him to do. I really
No.
thought he was going to pick Shelly. Um, but he picks her, and then they're having like, normally it's like pretty formulaic. You have your recoupling, and then all the couples go to their various corners to kind of canoodle and talk about how happy they are that they're coupled up. And basically, Ace and Amaya get to that convo, and Amaya's like, I'm so happy you picked me. Like, I'm excited to like cuddle up. And Ace basically like, hold up, I don't even like you. Why are you doing this? Like, those aren't the words he's saying, but like, I don't know how you would get any other takeaway from that, because he's basically like, well, now that we're coupled up, just know, like, I don't really like to be touched. I'm a slow burn. Like, I don't really want to cuddle or kiss.
To me, it was giving that Ace wanted to ensure that Shelly and Amaya both stayed in the villa so he could continue getting to know them and keep being a little messy on TV, maybe. And so
Mhm.
he picks Amaya here, tries to make it instantly clear to her, look, I picked you. That does not mean we're exclusive. I'm continuing to get to know you, but I'm going to continue to get to know other people as well. And I think I understand the intention that he's trying to um be super open with communication and not give her any false hope or false vibes, but I think it was just way too much too soon. Amaya does not handle this well either. Like she does not receive it well. So, and understandably at this point.
No, and one thing about Amaya, listen, I know you got some kind of bad vibes from her last time, and I do think that she's an extremely reactive person. And to that I say, I know an Enneagram 8 when I see one, okay?
Hmm.
And if they don't want her to react like that, they shouldn't prod her.
I don't know if she's an 8, but that's interesting. I think that with Amaya, I don't know if I said maybe said bad vibes. I don't remember if it was like specifically bad vibes. Like it's just off. It's not my person in the villa, and I think that is
Mhm.
okay. And so when this is
Okay,
all
but
going
bad
down,
vibes too. You're allowed.
Mhm. Yeah,
It'd
no,
be
I
okay
agree.
with bad vibes
I know. And if
too.
I do, I will say. But
Okay.
I think that it is interesting. Some of these conversations. Obviously, she goes straight from having a conversation with Ace to talking with Huda, saying she does not want to Ace to see her crying, tells her all about the conversations. But it does get a little bit into the gender roles that I don't always love. The like, you think these men are the prize? Like, screw these men. We're the pro. And like, I think that just like everyone is the prize and you should all want each other equally. I feel like this is a interesting conversation sometimes.
It's in an ideal world, you want everyone to feel like they're winning a prize, right?
Yes.
You want to be like, I'm winning a prize. And your partner's like, no, but I'm winning a prize because you're so much like, that's like the ideal vibe in a relationship. And I think that it's just so strange to be like, all of these men are not the catch when you're literally on a show to date men and be with men. Like, it's
Look,
it's not the most productive way to think about it if your goal is to find love with a man.
men are garbage, but not the man you're pursuing, probably.
Well,
Like,
yes, period.
so I think that's the problem. And so if she's going to, I think the version of this conversation is like, remember that you are a prize. Like, don't ever let someone make you feel less
Yes.
than or not worth it. And so, but I think it loses a little bit of weight when it's like, oh, that man that you're really interested in are going to continue to pursue for the rest of this whole batch of episodes. Like, what an absolute garbage. Okay.
And especially like, because not that we're talking about Huda and Jeremiah right now, but it's like, you sit down, miss. You are dating Mr. Red Flag himself. So how about not too much on the other man?
Yeah, look, it's all over the
It's
place with those two. But I
we'll get
mean,
to
Huda
it.
would never ever admit to that, especially in this conversation. So
No.
things go awry. As we said, the bedtime conversations are a little awkward, and they don't really recover so well either. In the next conversation that Ace and Amaya have, or like they talk, and it is how Amaya uses the word babe a lot, apparently.
And don't we all? I know I have to catch myself sometimes in like a work context to not call someone babe because it just like very easily rolls off the tongue for me. But he's kind of like, he could just say, "Hey, don't call me babe," right? Like, he could say, "Hey, I've noticed you're calling me babe, and I wish you wouldn't do that. Like, I don't feel like we're there yet. I don't feel like we're at a pet name, or like maybe we could come up with a nickname together that I like to be called. I don't like to be called babe." But instead, he's like building a trap where he's like, "Well, what did you call your last ex? What kind of pet names you use?" And she's like, "Oh, babe." He's like, "Oh, you called your ex babe? Well, I don't want you to call me babe." And it's like, I would get it if it was like a unique pet name that like isn't used by everyone. Like, I don't know if you or well, I know you do, but I don't know if the listeners listen to the Puya and Liana Lounge. They call each other Beanie.
Yep.
I haven't really heard of other couples calling themselves that. So like, if I started dating someone and they were like, "I'm gonna call you Beanie," and I knew that's what they called their ex, I'd be like, "Oh, that's a little strange. Like, that's not one that everyone uses." Babe is literally like the default.
Yeah. I think that if Ace has a problem with pet names and doesn't want them being used, and or specifically the word babe or like any other word, I think that's fine.
Yes.
But I think the like the way that he is continuing to react and making her kind of seem crazy, because it to me is, if he doesn't want to be called babe by her, that's fine, but it
Yes.
feels like he is saying, I understand you call everyone babe, but I don't want you to call me babe, because whoa, you're really coming on strong, when I don't think that's at all what she's doing by using the word babe. So
Yes.
the reaction I understand from her is less so in, how dare you get mad at me for calling you babe, and why are you trying to paint me to look like I'm crazy?
Yeah, and I think that she is maybe not all the way to realizing like the full
Yeah.
extent, but the problem is that he is painting her to be crazy and is treating her like she's crazy. And so then naturally you react more,
Yep.
right? And so then she's just kind of walking on eggshells anyways. And then when it comes to Ace like getting Shelly and being like, "Hey, come here. I have like a date for you." Because he was going to get Nick to teach them yoga, which Nick says he's never taught yoga before. So I don't really know where that came from. Um, and that's where Amaya's like, "Well, I didn't know it was like that between Ace and Shelly. Like, why didn't he just tell me?" And there was the weird goodnight thing. And she's just like, well, Shelly, I thought we were friends. Why didn't you tell me that you and Ace were close? To which I'm saying, did Amaya not get the episodes? Typically, a bombshell gets to watch the episodes. Why, like, I'm confused why she would not have seen their connection.
I kind of feel like she did know. I think she says like, "I didn't know you were continuing it," which I mean, it didn't really seem like they ever didn't make that clear. I think, yeah, Ace kind of admitted that he was a little bit vague in his statements, like, because he said, I didn't tell her that I'm never pursuing her again. I just told her, like, yeah, it's cool, we're friends. But Ace was also saying, I want to build a friendship with someone so that I can build a relationship and that will be my partner. So when you're telling someone that that is your game plan, telling them that you are building a friendship with them leaves it open to them thinking that that is another possibility.
Yeah, and I feel like they left their initial conversation and Ace is basically going around to all the guys like it's over, like we're done. Whereas Amaya left with the perception of, well, we're gonna keep getting to know each other and explore this connection along with other connections, and maybe this will be the ultimate one, maybe it won't. And so to then kind of be told like, no, what are you talking about? Like it's over.
It's
It's fair, I think, to be upset by that. Amaya is really reactive and their communication styles don't align regardless. And she comes to that point where she's like, we just do not click, and that's fine. I'm done. But I don't think it had to be this messy to come to that conclusion.
No, the problem is it felt like they did kind of say like, we're done, this obviously doesn't work. But then Amaya would go to Hannah and be like, he's still my number one, that's the person I'm the most interested in. And I was like, what happened from that conversation? Like, I
Well,
don't see how you leave this conversation and regardless of what Ace is saying, like not walk away feeling like I'm going to be taking a step back, even if you think that there is a potential for things to grow.
yeah, I just think that there's not anyone else in the villa that's her type besides Jeremiah.
Sure.
And so she's like, I kind of have to keep my eggs in this basket.
But I feel like we all know how Love Island works. Like we just had a women's elimination. I could very easily say, really hoping someone comes in next that I like because like that option is there. Like, I'm not sure where things are with Ace, but like I'm still gonna talk to him. And I feel like the he's my number one still gives the impression that like no, but it was rocky, but now we're good. And I'm like, that's not the vibe I got at all, even
Yeah,
with obviously Ace being a little unclear at best.
I would agree with that.
What did
But
you
it
think
brought us
about
drama.
that? Is fair, but what did you think about the Amaya and Shelly of it all in the makeup room?
I feel like in that moment, Amaya forgot who the real enemy is, which is, as Huda said, that man she wants so bad who's trash. um, because like Shelly has not moved in a sneaky manner at all. She's been very upfront in exploring with both Austin and Ace. And I don't think at any point she stopped talking to Ace or anything like that. So I think it was a bit misguided of Amaya to put it on her. I I mean I feel like when you're in a couple with someone in on Love Island and they're exploring with other people, it's better for the person you're in the couple with to make it explicitly clear like I also like this person, I'm exploring with this person. Because I think if Shelly had been like, just Maya, like Ace and I still like each other and we're still exploring, that comes across as like braggy and like he likes me better than you regardless of how it's meant. And so I think that again, that was due to Ace's, you know, unclear messaging.
Yeah. I
And I
just
think Shelly handled it well.
I don't know when she was supposed to say this. Like in comforting her, should you be like, "Ooh, that's so horrible. By the way, I'm gonna pursue him." Like that's
Yeah,
not gonna go well.
it's just some of that respectful behavior that we watch Love Island for,
Yes,
But yet, like, it just there was no time for Shelly to say that, and I don't even think it's appropriate for her to be the one
I
to do
agree.
it. Like, it's on Ace to be like, these are the connections I'm exploring. I'm being honest with you, versus like once when the other people that are not involved in your couple specifically get involved, that's where miscommunications come in. That's where it's like, and if Shelly had even said something, who's to say Ace wouldn't have been like, that's not true. Like I'm not even into Shelly like that. Like you don't know.
I sneakily enjoyed Hannah in this moment because I could very much tell she was in this like, oh my god, I see my friend kind of crashing out right now, and I know she's wrong, but like I'm not gonna tell her publicly that she's wrong, so I'm just gonna sit here and wait until I can step in later. Because yeah, it is talked about like maybe we like talk a little slower and don't interrupt each other. But Amaya does not take that hint. She interrupts basically every word Shelly says.
Yeah, Shelly's trying to talk, and Amaya's talking over her, and then Hood is like, so when she's done talking and there's a pause, that's when you should talk.
And it does not
As,
work out, but luckily, it seems like Shelly does not take this super seriously. She's just like, that was weird, but
yeah.
moving on.
Which was the right thing to do. And then Hannah does talk to Amaya later and is like, whatever you want to do, like, make the actions that feel right for you. But just remember 2 days in how he made you feel. Like, just think about that. And I felt like that was the appropriate level of advice for Amaya, who wasn't seemingly in a place to really accept very much advice.
Agreed. Now, when we do get Ace and Shelly talking again, he like interrupts Austin after like 30 seconds. And we'll talk about Shelly and Austin, but what did you think about the continued conversations between Ace and Shelly? Are you still seeing that connection?
I mean, they are definitely attracted to each other. And
Mhm.
like they wouldn't have like followed each other and liked every post if they didn't think each other were hot. Like that makes it makes sense to me that they're physically attracted to each other. But I think the way he was like kind of ignoring her and is now like applying pressure and all of his attention to her now that his couple is like not working when he didn't even have this energy when he was single in the villa is I mean he's a playboy, they're all playboys, but
Hmm.
I don't like the way that he's like directing this attention right now.
I think their chemistry is still really good, but I don't find myself rooting for it in the same way. To me,
Yes.
am enjoying Ace as a character on Love Island very much. That doesn't mean that I'm rooting for, and like I'm rooting for him to stay. That doesn't mean that I'm rooting for Shelly to have to stay with him necessarily at all times. I think it could end up working out. I think when Amaya's calling Ace a player, I actually find that to be not super apt based on what we've seen so far. I don't think that Ace is like playing multiple women off of each other. Like he even says like I'm not going to be kissing outside of challenges. I'm not cuddling. I'm not doing any of that. So I don't think that he is like a player in the women's sense. It feels like Ace is a player in the television sense that he is just like being messy and playing games, whether that's for TV or because he's a genuinely messy person. I'm enjoying it, but it does make it hard for me to take him and Shelly, which is feeling a little gamey, seriously.
Well, and because it feels gamey for him, but not for her, is
Yeah,
how I feel.
exactly.
And like, I think when I call Ace a play, I mean, he's kind of like playing with their heads more than anything, right? And I don't love that. And like, I'm just like, man, you're making me feel bad for Austin. I don't want to feel bad for Austin. Like, why are you making me feel this way? Like, I didn't have to feel this way, but the way Ace is moving is making me like feel bad for Austin and be like, oh, I'm gonna like wrap him in a blanket. Like, poor guy. I don't even like him.
Well, what do you think about Austin and Shelly so far this week?
Okay. I think that Austin made a really good point talking about how Ace is trying to get chased and like Shelly's not that kind of person. So like just like get over it. I really liked that conversation from him. I feel like it's just a lot of he's trying and
Mhm.
him and Shelly have had a few conversations where she brings up like no, but like Ace and I haven't had the combos that we've had. Ace and I are not close like you and I are close. And then like Ace will interrupt them when they've been talking for 2 seconds every time because he doesn't want to allow that relationship to get stronger because he wants options.
Yeah. I am evaluating Austin as the TV character right now exclusively, and I'm
Yes.
kind of enjoying him just because I'm losing a little bit of faith in Ace and Shelly. Does not necessarily make me like lose perspective and think that Austin and Shelly are suddenly fated to be together.
Yes.
I still think like it's an extremely slow burn. Maybe they could be coupled up for a little bit more as a friendship couple. Maybe something develops, but I'm not putting a ton of stock in it. However, I do think that he's like making the right moves, and I don't hate their friendship.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. And I mean, he kind of looks, kind of sounds like a cartoon character, which can be a little bit endearing when everyone else is like so put together.
Yeah.
Um, it's on the show. It feels like he's growing in real time, and so I would love to see him continue to grow in real time.
Yeah, I think that actually the conversation between Austin and Charlie, where he like shows himself getting very frustrated over the Ace and Shelly stuff, like this is kind of BS. Like he needs to figure it out. Why did he pick Amaya last night? Because as we remember, Austin and Amaya made out on the dock the night before the recoupling too. So this very easily could have been Ace just picked Shelly, Austin picks Amaya, and there's
Mhm.
no more mess. Like this could have been so clean. And so for that, I guess thank you, Ace, for continuing good TV here. But Austin is getting frustrated, and I don't think he's making wrong points saying, like, this is a weird game, and I don't really understand the game that he is playing with Shelly.
Yes. What did you think about Austin and Shelly's like they were fake samurai sword moment?
Look, when Austin was like, yeah, I learned this at the psychedelic place, and I was like, uh Austin talking about ayahuasca right now? So,
Yes, I think so. Yes.
like feels like pretty blatantly on TV at the moment. At least that's my takeaway. So, I thought it was kind of cute. I don't really know the merits behind this meditation. It's not something that I'm extremely familiar with, but I didn't hate it as a very brief date that we got to see.
I did like how it seemed like such an unserious thing to be doing, but then when Ace steals her away, he's like, "We got to do a longer session soon."
And I think that's the thing, though. And Alandrea gives him a good conversation at one point. And I think that also his and Alandrea's potential friendship, on the show is also not something I'm
Yes.
totally hating. So when she says at one point, like, that's my bestie, and she coaches him, like, figure out what sets you apart and do those things. And I think that this meditation is one of those things. Like, it's something
Yeah.
that she was making her laugh and they were having a good time. And so I don't put a lot of stock in this being a long thing or even a super serious thing, but I'm going to allow myself to enjoy it while it's on screen.
Yes. What do you think the longevity of Austin is on this season of Love Island USA?
I kind of feel like he's someone that could just like fumble his way into Casa Amor, and then all of a sudden he's the most available man on Casa Amor. And that is, I think, the storyline I see as most likely for Austin.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because I think even if Shelly and Ace couple up at the end of this week, I think Amaya will likely pick Austin,
Yeah.
and so he'll stick around.
There's a chance he can get lost in the shuffle, but he has that vibe to me of, oh, who's like harmless as far as like they're seeing in the villa. Like that's Austin. Let me just go ahead and couple up with him and bring him one more week, and then he does the same for someone, and then they do the same for him, and that's how we get him super
He's
far into the season.
he's kind of giving me Bergie vibes if Bergie had more experience coming into Love Island.
If Bergie had sent 1,000 nudes, yeah, I think that's possible.
Thousands,
Thousands.
thousands of nudes.
So it is interesting. I mean, when they have a challenge later in the episode stretch, and Hannah answers the question of like who is like the most vanilla in the bedroom or who's the worst, and she says that Austin gives vanilla vibes. I was like, like what was it, like hundreds of women, and he's still vanilla. I feel like he was talking about how adventurous he was many times.
It was the question was, which Islander do you think would be most basic in the bedroom? And Hannah picks Austin. And the second Austin can pick Hannah without it looking like too much, like he gets, which Islander do you think is most likely to cheat outside the villa? He says Hannah, and he pies her, and then she made out with him anyway. So I think that they had like a
I know. I am like, if somehow Charlie goes home in some twist, could this be a thing? I don't know. It was a very spontaneous makeout between the two of them.
I mean, it looked like she was into it, and I was like, this was not in the rules of the challenge. It's a pie or pucker.
Look, if people want to get messy and make out on the show, I'm not going to complain, whether it's inside or outside of a challenge.
You're right. I was just complaining that they're not kissing enough. I can't be mad when someone finally makes a move. And you know what? Good for you, Hannah. Get that airtime.
It's fine.
Should we talk about the challenge now and then do the Huda Jeremiah all at the end, or should we talk about Huda Jeremiah then the challenge?
Let's do the challenge, and then we can talk about the fallout of said challenge after, because I think we should just package it all together. The challenge being pucker or pie, which I think was an interesting challenge. They are going to answer a question with an Islander's name. That Islander will come up. They will then flip a coin, which will determine if they are going to pucker up and kiss the Islander, or if they are going to pie and smash a pie into their face. So, okay.
This giant coin was weighted for sure.
Oh, really? Because I
it
feel
landed
like
on pie a lot, and I think that they just got the weighting wrong. They wanted it to be pucker, and they did it wrong, and then it kept landing on pie.
that is possible. If that was that Love Island did it incorrectly, I would believe it a lot more than Love Island wanted them to be pieing themselves more than they wanted them to be making out.
Yes. That's how
So,
I feel.
any of these questions stand out to you for good or bad reasons?
I feel like Jeremiah got, who do you think is the most high maintenance? And when he said Huda, I feel like she was legit pissed.
Was he wrong?
No. And her being pissed about it just goes to show how correct he was.
I think that she came around on it. I think she ended up being fine, but I think the first reaction was like, oh, excuse me. So that was kind of whatever. I think I've seen a lot of shipping online for Nick and Alandrea. So I think the fact that he does pick her, but then it lands on pie, had lots of people disappointed online.
Oh, I have not seen this.
I've seen a lot.
Our For You pages are so different because we're in like parallel roads, but
Yep.
getting like different content. It's very interesting. Two of these pissed me off.
Please tell me.
Can I speak? So first, Alandrea picks Jeremiah for which Islander is most likely to fake a relationship, and they actually get kiss. Jeremiah like does a peck.
To me, the answering of Jeremiah was enough to keep this interesting, because I think that's how a lot of people in the villa have been talking. And so for it to even get out there in a breadcrumb, I was satisfied with the question, even if the peck was a complete cop out.
The peck pissed me off, but then it double pissed me off because Huda's in the bleachers being like, you could have made it hot. I wouldn't be mad. You could have made it hot. Yes, you would be mad. There's no moment when you haven't been pissed if Jeremiah's like actually kissing someone. Don't lie.
I totally agree. I think that they could have like kissed and it would have been okay. Like, not too much tongue. Which telling Alandrea not too much tongue is a very big ask. So I would say that it is likely to go in the direction where she's not going to not be annoyed about it.
That's fair. Okay, the other one that pissed me off. And so Nick got the question, which Islander gives you big dick energy? And he picks Austin. And they flip the coin and it lands on Kiss. And like, it's fine if they don't want to like make out or whatever.
No, they should
But
make out.
well, I mean, yes, okay. Yes, I wish they had made out. Period. First and foremost. But even if that wasn't like if that didn't make them comfortable and they could just do like a peck or whatever, like okay, cool, whatever. But Nick is like pulling away and acting like he's like getting attacked when it's like a little kiss and I'm like boo, tomato, tomato, tomato. This like weird internalized homophobia is not cute. It's literally Pride Month. They needed more tongue.
I feel like we were trending in a direction where men were more comfortable kissing each other as a peck, and I feel like it's maybe going in the other direction. And we keep an eye on Love Island because Austin, at least, was playing like he was down for it. So it's they're both like slowly kind of moving towards each other, and then Austin gives him the big peck on the cheek. I don't know that either of them would have gone through with the peck. Kind of would have been actually pretty
I
surprised.
Austin just got called vanilla. He was prepared to kiss Nick down.
Look, it should be required. Look
It's
at Nick
because
acting
then
like Bella. He had so many
no,
complaints about
literally.
Bella, and now who wants to get kissed on the cheek?
Yeah, exactly. Hypocrite. Like it's like what is he afraid it's going to awaken something in him? And what if it does? Who cares?
Should be so lucky.
It's 2025. Because then Sierra picks Shelly just like for whatever. Like she just cuz she wants the opportunity to kiss Shelly and she like throws the coin so obviously for the kiss. And then it's like a big makeout and it's a huge production. I'm like, "Oh, cool. So this whole group of people thinks it's a joke for two men to potentially have to kiss, but it's so hot to watch two women make out." And I'm just like, we've seen this film before. Do something new. I'm
Well, and
bored.
especially, I mean, first of all, Sierra's like, "Do you know how long I've been waiting to get my lips on Shelly?" It's like, okay, then couple up. But then I think it
Period.
was specifically Austin who like they're all hooting and hollering. I think it was Austin who was like, "It's okay if you need to go to the bedroom." Like, okay, then you pick up Nick. Like,
Take Nick into the photo booth, Austin. Yeah, well, it's just how it happens. I feel kind of bad. We've already talked about how Sierra and Johnny from season 5 are friends, and Sierra and Shelly kissing was in a preview for tonight's episode. And people were very excited. And Johnny literally made a TikTok where she's like, I just feel like war is over. Like, the war is over. Sierra and Shelly are kissing. And then for it to be this, like, nothing in a challenge, and we've never seen them have any sort of flirty conversation or indication that they're actually interested in each other. I'm like, oh, sorry, Johnny. I think they're still in the trenches, unfortunately.
yeah, look, it happens. It happens. I will say that no one apparently knowing what doing too much means. I was like, are we losing the definition here, or did they just not want to tell Amaya what it means?
Well, it was trying too
Trying too
hard
hard, trying too hard.
was the verbiage used in the challenge, which I would agree synonym for doing too
Very
much.
close.
Um, means essentially the same. And Amaya's like, I just don't understand what this means. Like, I have to go get clarification from Taylor. And I feel like the girls are very much like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's okay. And she's like, God forbid a girl crashes out. And I was like, okay, self aware queen.
I'm gonna point back to a conversation that Amaya and Ace had where they're talking about like a date, and then they're like, "Oh, this is cute, this is fun," and Amaya volunteers kind of out of nowhere that her hands aren't the only thing that can clap. I was like, I think that's what trying too hard might mean.
It's well, yes, and just like any sort of pursuit of Ace when he is like making it,
Yes.
he's basically like, I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the way that you dress. Uh,
Yeah.
it's not great. Um, and it's funny too because everyone's like, well, but at least like, was the kiss good? Because she kissed Taylor, and she's like, it was -5 out of 10.
I'm rolling my eyes. Like, okay, whatever.
Listen, that was Taylor's first real kiss in the villa, okay? He needs to warm up.
I mean, I don't think he was kissing her with any more or frankly less passion than he was kissing Alandrea, unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The other fallout of this challenge, of course, is Huda and Jeremiah. And so I feel like we need to go back a bit before we can get
Let's
to the full fallout.
let's rewind because I feel like this is going to be one of the biggest stories of every episode that we talk about until they break up or go home or something happens, because Huda and Jeremiah are a source of tension at all times.
Yes. Now, don't forget, when we started this first half of the week, Huda hated Amaya for kissing Jeremiah in the challenge, but they're besties now. Everything's fine.
Yeah, Bella went home and Huda's like, I need a new best friend. So sorry, Hannah, I'm taking Amaya for myself.
And Hannah's like, it's fine. I'm just with Charlie anyway.
Yep. Don't worry, I'm not on screen. It's okay.
So they have like a pretty intense conversation after Bella goes. Like Huda cried more than anyone when Bella went home. More than Bella. She was
Definitely
weeping.
more than Bella. Definitely,
And
definitely.
it's Huda is like confiding in Jeremiah and she says it. She's just talking so crazy because she's like, yeah, it's just so scary that that's how men are. Right to Jeremiah's face. And it's like, yes, you can generalize about men, and generally speaking, the ones you're talking about will know that it's not about them. But at the same time, if you're romantically pursuing someone, it kind of behooves you to make it clear that you aren't just down on their entire gender and like make them feel some kind of way about it.
It just was a odd comment. Like, yes, not all men, we get it, but like, I don't know. Jeremiah's sitting there, and I feel like there have been flags that have been raised. So then, for one more, where Huda is making him feel like maybe she does not trust him all the way, or does not
Mhm.
trust like any man. Like, is this going to be a kind of recurring thing? It's just little comments that Huda keeps making that Jeremiah just like gets taken back for a second, makes a face. You can catch it almost every time.
Well, and you have to remember too, they've known each other less than a week, right? So they're not really at the point where she can be like, "Well, you obviously know I don't feel that way about you. It's everyone else except you."
Yeah, yeah. So this I thought was kind of a weird spot for them to be in. For some reason, we get one of like the earliest random dates I can remember on Love Island.
And the number one date I would most want to go on of any date we've
Oh,
ever seen, probably on any love show.
interesting. You're big on the water parks.
I love a water park. I love a
Ah.
water slide. I love a super steep water slide. And more than anything, no lines. Can you
Mm.
imagine having, and there were so many different slide options there. It looked so fun. And no little kids running around peeing in the pool. No like long line to go on the best water slide until you were like, oh, I guess I'll do the medium best one because I get
See,
more runs.
I agree. This looked super fun, but if little kids peeing in a pool is a concern for Jeremiah, then I don't know how this relationship is gonna go
But
because the water park looks super fun. What didn't look fun is the conversations about moving across the country to move in together after 4 days of
I
dating.
well, and what was crazy is like Huda is clearly she's like, I'm starting to see a future outside of the villa. I would want us to move in together. I really like you. And Jeremiah's like, well, I mean, yeah, if we get through this whole process and we're together, I would want to live in the same city. And she takes that back to the girls in the villa. She's like, Jeremiah was telling me how he wants to move in with me. And that's what I really wanted. So I just love to hear. Like, she is a low grade pathological liar.
I think she hears what she wants to hear. And so
And she believes the lies. That's the best liars.
Look, there's a point where in the challenge, Huda gets called out for why did she pick Ace in instead, like in terms of who's just waiting for someone to come in the villa and as in anyone here. And she tells Amaya, like, look, it was always between you and Ace, but I just didn't want to have to pie you. And then when she talks to Ace, it's look, it was always between you and Amaya. I just didn't want to have to kiss Amaya. And it's like, wait, you can't say both of those things, even if like both of them could be true. I feel like your reasoning is shady here.
I think more than anything, she thought Amaya would have an emotional response and she didn't want to have to deal with it, but she didn't want to say that. Uh, I think she was kind of said it without saying it to Ace. I think Ace was kind of picking up what she was putting down, but then she then makes herself the victim of being like, I feel sick that I made you feel this way. I never meant, I just basically saying like, oh, well, Ace, I didn't think your feelings are real and I thought I would just roll off your back. And so now please feel bad for me because
Yeah.
was wrong.
I think that was like whatever. It just the like different reasoning for different people I thought was like an interesting thing that I just
Yes.
flagged up.
Well, I think that it's Ace and Huda both. I would not be surprised at all if they both have at least two siblings because they're both
Mm.
really good at kind of causing a problem, but also making themselves a victim at the end of it.
Okay, called out. So
Listen, I have siblings too. I'm not saying that I'm not guilty of it, but like real recognizes real.
yeah. Now, speaking of flags being raised, I did think it was interesting how much discussion there was about Huda and Jeremiah's relationship. There's a conversation between Ace, Taylor, and Alandrea where Ace is once again pushing. I don't think Jeremiah's that into this. It seems like he's bored. Amaya was his type. Why is he not pursuing her? This is weird. And there's also a conversation, I think it was between Sierra and Alandrea and Shelly, where it is like, oh, isn't it so cute? And Alandrea starts raising like topics of, I don't know, I think that the love bombing maybe is something we should keep our eyes on. Maybe this isn't 100% as strong as even both of them may think it is.
Ace's influence. He has infiltrated Alondria's opinion of the relationship. But then, after the challenge, Nick brings up concerns about Huda to Jeremiah, saying he feels like Huda is playing Love Island fraudulently and that sometimes it seems like she really likes him, but sometimes it seems like she's just playing it safe to stay in the villa. And now, listen, this is a war on two fronts. That's a tough road.
It's very tough. There's multiple people talking about this now. We did see small issues with Jeremiah and Huda as well, where Huda keeps saying to Jeremiah, like, good job, or I'm proud of you, or things that seemed a little demeaning. And I think we did even flag these up at
Yes.
points. Jeremiah's like, don't talk to me how you would talk to a child or a dog. Like, I don't need to be given demeaning praise. So it is already in his mind that there are a couple of small things kind of eating at him. And now he's starting to get comments from people that they're also seeing potential red flags. And that sends Jeremiah into a full spiral, it felt like.
Well, and it's so interesting because it feels like he's just kind of sitting there, right? He's not contributing to the conversation as much as he normally would. He's just kind of quiet. And Huda is like, what's wrong? And he just gives her two thumbs up, like, I'm good. Which to me should have been the signal of Huda, leave it alone. You can talk in bed tonight. Like, leave it be. But Huda, listen, real recognizes real. Cannot leave it be. She has to push.
I'm sorry. Those two thumbs up and a dejected look to me felt like a F you. Like, get away from me. Like, I would have been like, oh, okay, I will leave.
Yeah, like to me, it felt like, okay, obviously something is wrong, but he obviously does not want to talk about it right now. So,
Yeah.
like, let's part ways, try to have a good night. And when we come back together at bedtime and we're going to sleep together, then we can like talk privately or like in the bed or like be like, we'll talk about it in the morning. It like the need to address something right in that moment is very natural, but you have to take cues from the other person, and Jeremiah clearly
Yes.
doesn't want to talk about it.
It's hard. I feel like she's trying to pull him right out of it, which is like, I want to fix everything. Unfortunately, that's just not realistic. He is
Mhm.
still like stewing in it. And so you got to let him stew. I think his expectation that she was just going to sit next to him and like without any prompting, like if he was even said, like, I'm good, just like, like take a seat or something. Like, if you want her to sit there, you can tell her. So I don't think that he can really be super annoyed if she walks across the circle, but she couldn't let it lie. She needs to keep pressing. I'll say I did enjoy Austin also telling the entire group, like, they all got in his head. They all talked about Huda, and now this is what's happening. So Austin really breaking boy code right here.
And Jeremiah is like, stop it. You could tell
Yeah.
he's so mad. And I was like, thank you, Austin. This is where having a cartoon character on the show really helps
Well,
with the
because
drama.
Nick volunteers, like, I don't know if she's here for you. I think this, and this. Please don't tell her. Like, you just told like 7 men. Someone's going to leak this.
The messiest person you know is a man, and it's Ace. And so like maybe Ace wasn't there in that moment, but like it's gonna get back to him because his
Yep.
buddies were there, and then it's gonna be everywhere. So kind of a crazy venue to share your concerns. Uh and so Huda pulls Jeremiah and leads him away from the group. And also nobody else helps because I feel like as she's like leading him away, everyone's kind of like, ooh.
Not ideal. Not ideal. You do not want to rag on them when you can pretty much tell it already looks bad. Now, once they do separate, Jeremiah finally admits, like, it's just, there were some comments from the guys that threw me off, and that's it. And Huda also can't leave that alone. I don't really blame her, I guess, once she finds out. I think that curiosity would pretty much take over for anybody because at that point, it's about you. Your people, the people that like you think you're at least friendly with are talking about you. And also, these comments have gotten so in his head that he is now doubting this relationship that after 4 days he was talking about moving across the country for.
Well, and it's just so wild too, because even getting to the point of saying, oh, there was comments from the guys, Huda's like, talk to me, talk to me. He's like, there's nothing to talk about, nothing to talk
Yep.
about. And so when he finally gives the crumb of like, oh, some comments threw me off from the guys, like, it's fine, don't talk about it. And she's like, this is a big deal. You're acting different. You never act this way. It's been 5 days. You don't know how this man acts. You don't know
Yeah.
him. And he says, well, they said half the time they think you like me, half the time they think you're playing it safe. I was like, what do you mean playing it safe? I've shown you so much how I care about you. And like, she's now getting worked up, which is not helpful in this type of situation.
Mm-mm.
And she's like, oh, the fact that his friends would like that your friends would talk to you this way about me is like why I don't want them to know anything. It's like, little red flag.
I think there's lots of red flags that pop up this week for this relationship. I think that Huda being a little bit upset that he is doubting her based on the words of a couple people is probably fair to be upset about. But I think it's the pushing that's the problem. Like, also, it's not really going to solve anything. So is it the best? It's like this was a bad combo. Unfortunately, I think this is something that like they could work through, but it continues to spiral. And I don't think we're going to open on next episode with everything being perfect.
No, this is one that's going to take some time and conversation. And honestly, Nick is messy because he didn't have to say all that.
No, all the boys are messy. Like, you had a conversation with Jeremiah earlier. You could have told him then. And like, look, I could be totally wrong, and I hope I am. It's just a couple of people have been saying, and I want you to know that people have this feeling. So like, maybe look into it. Like, that's the conversation rather than 50% of the time, I just think that she doesn't even like you. Like, in front of everybody, that's so embarrassing. Even if it like doesn't get to you, it's so embarrassing.
Yeah, I think that even on top of like the actual concern about the relationship, just the fact that it's clear now that everyone has been talking about your relationship behind your back, that's also going to make you feel some kind of way. And so I think
Yep.
it's natural that there's an emotional response on both ends.
Hmm?
but they just do not have the tools in their toolbox at this early stage in their relationship to like have a productive conversation when they're feeling like this.
Where do you stand on Huda as a cast member on the show?
I think she maybe would have been better suited to a show like Married at First Sight. Was maybe more in line with what experience she was wanting to have. Um, she's reactive and she is bringing drama, so I'm fine for her to be on the show. But whereas I think last week we were both kind of like, oh, this is for the long haul and we're going to see this for a long time. I'm now kind of like, she doesn't have to stay the whole time.
Oh no, yeah. There's a lot of reaction online that I've seen that is like, Huda is ruining the show. She's breaking the show. This is not what the show about. And to me, I'm kind of like, I feel like this is what the show is about. Not necessarily the never talk to anyone, but get invested in someone way too early and fully crash out when that goes wrong. Like that's kind of what I want. So I feel like today has shown me we might get that even sooner than I thought we were going to. So I'm not upset in the fact that we are getting this crash out.
She even says in one of the episodes this week, like, I would be open to talking to people, but nobody's coming to talk to me. And I do think that's true. I think if a bombshell came in and applied pressure, we might get to see a new dynamic, which would be interesting. Like, as much as she likes him, like, they're not closed off. They're not boyfriend, girlfriend. Like,
Okay, you can
they're
say
acting
that.
like it, but they're not.
No, they are. And look, she literally asked Jeremiah, "So are we ready to close this off?" And he says, it's really early. I just she's like, "Oh, so do you not mean it? Do you not mean?" And like she starts having like a very mini spiral, but like Huda does want to close this off. Huda does not want to talk to other people. As much as she might say it's okay if I do or if it's okay if you do, the minute that Jeremiah says that he does not want to close things off, she's very clearly not thrilled about it and starts being like, well, why? Well, why? Are you going to talk to someone else? Are you just waiting for someone else? And so I feel like she can say she's open to talking to somebody else, but when Jeremiah talks to someone else and she sits 3 feet away from them, just staring at him the whole time, she's not looking to talk to anyone else.
Well, yeah, no, which and is fine. I feel like there's often relationships that form really, really early on Love Island that do not go all the way. And this one, we're just hearing more of the serious conversation around it, possibly because she has a kid at home and she's more like thinking long-term relationships. Maybe that's not it. I don't know. It's not gonna last. It's not built to last. The brightest flames burn the fastest.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think you can build on a shaky foundation and have a super long-lasting structure. So, the more that these small arguments come up, the more that I am losing faith. I'm thinking it would probably be best for them if this was the end of it, but I don't think it's going to be. I think this is just going to be another crack that gets further and further broken over time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just excited. Like, this is going to explode. I'm excited to see how the pieces like shake out when that happens. I don't think she's ruining the show. Is she the most exciting or interesting character to me on the season? No, she's not. But that's fine. She's fine. She can be here. I don't mind.
Exactly. That's where I'm at of like this is a character that I feel like I have seen on Love Island UK and I have enjoyed and not enjoyed in, various different outcomes. So, I'm giving it time.
Yeah. It'll all come out in the wash.
Exactly.
um So in the preview for the next set of episodes, we see Austin getting mad at presumably Ace, talking about him playing a different game that Austin, doesn't want to play. Presumably Ace, it could be someone else. We don't know.
I feel like it's made to look like it's Jeremiah, but I think it's definitely Ace because we do see Ace pick up Shelly in front of a lot of people and start licking the whipped cream from this pie contest off of her body. And people are, once Sierra and Nick are coupled up and Bella's gone, it's like, finally, we can kiss in front of people. It's like, oh, well, Ace is licking off of people's bodies in front of the people that they're coupled up with. I'm for the mess,
Crazy work.
but I understand why they might not love it.
It's crazy work. And Austin's talking to Charlie like, "Oh, I'm done with this." Like, so I think it's probably all about the Ace Shelly Austin love triangle, but also it could be a bombshell comes in and does some crazy stuff too. We don't know.
Possible.
But there will be 2 new bombshells. I think 2. I don't know if they said 2. I presume it's 2.
Could be more, but I don't feel like they usually have the easiest time casting men for most reality shows, let alone Love Island. So I
Yeah.
doubt they're going to drop like 3 or 4 now. I would assume 2. We heard shells, so I would assume 2 men coming in the next batch.
Yes, and we will be back on Friday to talk all about that. Scally, is there anything that we missed over these past 3 episodes that we did not touch on?
No, I think we got a good covering. I mean, I don't need to talk about the tongue full of pie that Ace took before he made out with Shelly, because no, thank you.
We
Otherwise,
got so close to not talking about that.
I feel like that's kind of what happens every time you ask me that question, as I talk about some gross moment. Otherwise, no, I feel like we did a good job of talking about this batch.
Yeah, I think that now we know all of the players and it makes it a lot easier for us to get through everything. And
Agreed.
so yeah, I feel good. I feel like we hit on everything that matters. And I'm excited to see what happens with the new bombshells on Thursday and Friday night.
Me as well. Now, Kirsten, if people are looking to find you outside of here, where could they do that?
Yes, so you can follow me everywhere at Kirsten Said What. You can also listen to me every week on Mess Magnets. That's messmagnets.com. And this week I am going to be guesting on the We Know 90 Day Fiance podcast with Puya. So you can check that out as well. Scally, what about you?
Well, you can find me reading the 5-star reviews on the
Yes.
brand new We Know Love Island podcast feed. I'm looking to grow the number of reviews faster than Huda and Jeremiah's relationship. So please, please, really appreciate everyone who has already done so. Left a 5-star review there. If you can, that does really help. Make sure to subscribe to the new feed as well. Otherwise, me and Matt Lagori are talking about every season of the challenge all the way from the start, as well as the Survivor 50 draft, the House of Villains draft, lots of stuff over on the Free Agents podcast. Check that out. Anything else I'm doing on Twitter at Brian_Scally, on Blue Sky at Brian Scally, on Twitch at bscally. And I'll see you otherwise, right?
Yes. And just one last time for everyone. Comment on the YouTube video, youtube.com/@RHAP, and 5-star reviews to WeKnowLoveIsland.com. We are currently in the top 20 podcasts for TV/films. And with your
Woo.
5-star reviews, we can ascend the charts. And that really helps new people to find the podcast at the start of a season. And we're loving the season. We hope you're loving it too. And we will be back after the Friday night episode. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.